There are an absolute ton of different trends in the car scene that have come and gone throughout the last decade or so, and some that have really been just kind of hanging on for dear life. We've seen the Lambo doors that are on everything but Lamborghinis, underglow, which is miraculously and thankfully made a comeback, vinyl wraps, and so much more. But those are all topics for another video. No, today we are here to talk about another trend or style choice in the car scene that is truly a bit of a controversial topic to a lot of people, and something that is kind of just shrouded in a bit of mystery and myths. What is going on, everyone? Jels from Fitment Industries, and on today's episode of Myth or Fact, we are going to be going over whether or not stretching your tires is a dangerous thing to do. But first, real quick, before we get into today's video, you may notice wearing a new hoodie. And that's because we just launched a brand new giveaway with BC Racing to give away a free set of BC Racing coilovers to one of you guys or gals out there watching this video. All you gotta do is head on over to fitmentindustries.com or click the link in the description below and pick up some of the apparel that we have launched specifically for this giveaway. We got a hoodie, we got 2 t-shirts, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. You can head on over there. Every $5 spent on the apparel gets you an entry in to win. Other than that, you know the drill. Wheels, tires, and suspension, fitmentindustries.com. Let's get into the video. Anyway, we all know tire stretch, but if you don't know, here's a quick Cliff Notes version of what it is and where it came from. First things first, tire stretching is nothing new. It's actually been around for quite some time, and we actually see that to be a pretty common trend with a lot of the topics that we cover in these videos. Either way, people have been stretching their tires for years and years and years, and it actually began across seas over in Germany. With some of the laws and regulations on their vehicles at the time, it limited a lot of aftermarket components for their cars and for people who wanted to do things for their cars. However, people still wanted to put things like wire wheels on their cars, which was fine as long as no part of the wheel or tire extended past the factory fender, which meant if you had a Volkswagen and you wanted some wider wheels, you were going to have to go down in the tire size so that the tire did not extend past or hit the fender, hence downsizing or stretching the tire. And just like most of the styling that we see on our cars in the United States, we have adapted it from other places in the world. And we were pretty quick to pick up on this one as well. However, we aren't really all that concerned about the whole extending past the body line thing over here, and stretch tires for just more than that purpose. The biggest one being fitment. With fender to lip fitment being the goal for a lot of people, a stretch tire is going to be needed to be able for that fender to sit right behind the lip of the wheel. The idea is still pretty much the same. Run a bigger wheel, but then have to run a smaller tire than normal to help with the clearance in the fitment. And we see it everywhere, either because it's needed or just a stylistic choice. But I'm gonna be honest here, there are a lot of people who just absolutely hate it, like really hate it. Honestly though, if a stretch is needed and it suits the build and it's gonna fit, I'm all for it. But the bigger conversation is here, and what we are really here for is to go over whether or not that this trend is dangerous and could potentially maybe hurt you a little bit. When you stretch your tires or downsize your tires, you are taking the sidewall of your tire and pulling them out further and further than what they are supposed to be. When you look at the construction of a modern tire, most of the design and structure and support is focused on that sidewall. It is meant to be the strongest part of your tire, and there's a bit of concern with a lot of people when you start messing with that. When you stretch your tire, you are getting rid of a lot of the flex and capabilities of that sidewall, which can lead to things like a harsher ride and all of that. Since this is a downsized tire from what you should be running on that size of wheel, you are going to have a smaller contact patch, meaning that you're not going to have the same amount of grip or traction that you would with the correct size tire. Now, I know, all right, just as well as you know that a stretch tire is not going to be meant for performance or high performance driving. We kind of already know this, or at least I hope you would know this going into it. If you are after performance, you're not going to want to stretch your tires. That's just how it goes. For the most part, you are never going to run into any issues with a stretch tire setup. People do it all the time and have been doing it for years and years, like I said. But just like everything else ever in the history of everything, there are times again and again when people take things maybe just a little bit further than they should ever need to, or honestly ever really should. We've seen all the pictures of the cars with like the negative 20 degrees of camber and about 2 inches of an exposed barrel on the wheel. Probably would not recommend, as that is when this trend becomes just a little bit dangerous. Tire deviate is a real thing, all right, and it does happen. It is the main concern of those who are running a stretch setup, and it's mainly where the argument of whether or not stretching your tires is a safe thing to do comes into play. The truth is though, if you need to run a little bit of stretch on your 9.5 wide wheel, maybe like a 235/35 or a 225/40 or something like that, you're gonna be just fine. But if you wanna take that same size tire and throw that on like a 10.5 or an 11, maybe, just be prepared for the worst. All in all, as long as you stay within a reasonable size and a reasonable stretch and don't plan on using the car for any high performance reasons, you'll be just fine running a slightly stretched setup. And the best way to see what tire size and how much stretch you're going to get with a different size wheel is to check out the Fitment Industries gallery over at fitmentindustries.com, where you can take a look firsthand as to what those setups look like and then maybe see if people have issues with that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know down in the comments what your thoughts are on stretch tires or, stretching tires and all that sort of good stuff. Don't forget the giveaway we got going with BC Racing. Check out all that over at fitmentindustries.com. Wheels, tires, suspension as well. You know the drill. I'm Gels from Fitment Industries. We'll see you later. Peace.